This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started, risk-free, at greenlight.com/get started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get started.
And are you ready for this? You can skateboard.
What? You can skateboard in the new Zelda game? Seriously?
Minecart plus shield, man. It's fucking skateboarding.
Nice.
Okay, what about fire?
He's done it. Roasted, boiled, char grilled.
There's got to be something, though.
Hey, guys, what's the matter?
It's Tom. He's running out of ways to die.
He's running out of what now? Okay, so you know how we die in these pre-show sketches a lot? Oh, right, yeah, because you can't write endings. I can write endings.
So Tom has been missing the last few weeks. He's been dying here in the intro. And then by the time we get to make it to the next week, he's already dead again.
Right, but he's dying too fast. We can't get to him in time for an episode.
Okay, I mean, that sucks, sure, but that just means we won't have him for the opening sketch, right?
No, Noah, you don't understand. If you run out of ways to die in the opening sketch, you die in real life.
Oh, wait. He just texted me back. He'll be back in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
It's glad to hear it.
Hey, when I'm not on the show, is it because I'm dead in the sketch?
No, you're just not here because you don't work very hard, man.
Right, yeah, you take a lot of vacations.
Like a lot of vacations.
Cool, yeah, no, this is fun. I like when we do these opening sketches. How's that for an ending? Bad. It's a bad ending. Hello and welcome. Citation Needed, a podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Heath, and I'll be the MC for this mass wake that we're going to be doing. And I'm joined by the eulogist, who's glad they're all dead, and his two hype men, Eli, Cecil, and Noah. I mean, honestly, Heath, this is one of the only times I get to admit to being glad when someone's dead. Don't take this from me. Is this the only time?
I just followed the Undertaker around and point to the title belt, like on one knee.
Oh, there you go. Honestly, like, funerary hype man isn't the best qualification on my resume, but it is the one I get the most questions about.
Sure,
right? That's the one that gets the
Sure.
follow-up.
Seems pretty clear to me, but I get it. So, Eli, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event are we going to be talking about today? Unusual deaths 3. Cool. And who were some people who died? I'm just saying, Heath, we never make fun of your essay choices, okay?
It's about
Really?
respect, really.
It kind of feels mean-spirited, really.
This is gaslighting. I'm going to start tonight with Thomas Urquhart.
Gas.
A Scottish aristocrat,
Lighting.
polymath, and the first translator of Francois Rabelais' writing to English.
Gaslighting.
He's said to have died laughing upon hearing that Charles II had taken the throne. If the coronation of Charles III was in any way similar, let me just say, I get it.
Yeah, well, what the records don't say is that the way he died of laughter was that he was killed by Charles II when he heard about the laughing bit.
Yeah, you got to admit, that's pretty funny.
James Betts gave a whole new meaning to giving it all for the nookie. While attending college at Corpus Christi, he became romantically entangled with the headmaster's daughter, Elizabeth Spencer. One night, her father came home early, and in an attempt to hide James, she stuffed him into a cupboard where he asphyxiated.
Was that the guy from Limp Bizkit? Because I hope it was. No?
When the body was discovered, Elizabeth threw herself off the building's roof in grief, and it's said that their ghosts walk on the Corpus Christi campus today.
Yeah, they don't, because nothing happens when you die. And even if it did, ghosts make no fucking sense in any possible worldview, but it is said. So thank you for that,
No,
Eli.
so guys, that's twice in two examples where Eli has referred to it having been said as a source. I don't like where this is going.
I'm on a roll, baby. I'm on a roll.
You could just say Ibid for like everything you've ever said.
Francois Vatel was the head of the house for Prince Louis II de Bourbon-Condé, and thus was responsible for throwing
You
a
said that
banquet.
correctly. You fucked up the whole thing.
I know, I really fucked up. And thus was responsible for throwing a banquet for 2,000 people at Chateau de Chantilly in honor of King Louis XIV.
What is happening?
I know. I'm trying. It's because I'm not trying with my heart. I'm trying with my mouth. I'll get it. I'll get it. The meal was apparently a mismanaged mess. So much so that when Vatel learned how late the seafood course was going to be, he killed himself with his sword and was only discovered hours later when the fish actually hit the table.
Okay. I mean, I'd say I don't get that, but I watched Eli try to get Noah on board with a cucumber tasting. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago.
Now, to be fair, I don't think that himself is the person Eli wanted to stab in that instance, but yeah.
Sure.
I've been accused on this podcast of, shall we say, drinking my own Kool-Aid. But I've got nothing on the playwright Molière. Molière suffered a pulmonary hemorrhage caused by tuberculosis while playing the part of a hypochondriac in his own play, La Malade Imaginaire.
Okay, this is pretty funny too.
According to Wikipedia, quote, he disguised his convulsion as part of his performance and finished out the show, which ends with his character dead in a chair. After the show, he was carried in the chair to his house where he died, end quote.
Okay, I feel like you still do a curtain call there, right? Like Weekend at Bernie's style.
Exactly.
Make that happen.
They're all bowing anyway. It doesn't have to be in time. Yeah, right.
Method.
Speaking of playwrights, have you heard of Thomas Otway? Yeah,
No.
well,
Nope.
unfortunately, towards the end of his career, neither had anyone else. And Otway was forced to beg for food on the streets of London. One day, after days without food, he was recognized by a passerby who gave him an entire guinea to buy food. The money kind, not the Cecil kind.
Racist. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so
Okay.
according to
So
Wikipedia,
far, this is a story about Eli selling magic thumbs in London.
Yeah,
I just want to say it's very similar.
according to Wikipedia, quote, he hastened to a baker's shop, purchased a roll, and choked to death on the first mouthful, end quote.
Different now.
Yeah, but these roles are to die for commercials write themselves
Right, no,
afterwards.
that's
for that.
true.
Come on.
But honestly though, choked on a roll is not a particularly unusual death, right? I'm a little worried that we're clutching at straws already, Eli.
I just report the facts that Wikipedia presents me, no
Okay,
illusions.
all right.
Henry Hall, a 94-year-old British lighthouse keeper, died several days after fighting a fire at Rudyard's Tower, during which molten lead fell from the roof and down his throat.
Down his throat, though? So many things have to go wrong in your life. And then you're doing like the snowflake thing.
Why
with
would your
drops
mouth
of
be
lead?
open as you're looking up
Thank
into
you.
a
Yeah.
fire?
Right.
Just,
What is happening? Oh my God, look up, it's molten.
Yeah, during his autopsy, they removed a sizable chunk of lead from his stomach, which weighed in at exactly 7 ounces, 5 drachmas,
Jesus Christ.
and
Wow.
18 grains. The piece of lead is currently in the collection of the National Museum of Scotland.
All right, so I'm not trying to take lead's side here, but 94-year-old people, they don't need a lot of help dying, right?
Thank you.
Maybe
like
he
a
had a weird episode of Jackass. That's like a Steve thing.
Next up is a case of sibling rivalry nobody could be jealous of. Bahai Matidas and Bahai Satidas were 2 Sikhs who were sentenced to die for the crime of being Sikh by the emperor. Upon learning that his brother would be executed by being bound between 2 pillars and sawn in half, Bahai Satidas requested he be wrapped in cotton wool, soaked in oil, and set on fire. Only to be outdone by a guy he wasn't even related to, Bahai Dayala, who boiled in a cauldron full of water and roasted over a block of charcoal.
Okay, boiling and then roasting doesn't even make sense. This is a stupid death. Like, culinarily, it's dumb.
You're right.
I'm going to need a
Terrible.
break before we move on for some opera of nothing. I'm angry about that.
Brother, have you heard?
No, brother, tell me.
I have requested to die in an even more painful manner than you will, because I cannot stand the thought of you suffering more than me.
Oh, brother, you shouldn't have.
I needed to. I must. I'll be wrapped in cotton and then lit on fire. But as I burn, I know I will go to meet you in the afterlife.
Yeah. Would we say that's more painful, though, than being sawed in half?
Surely, brother, the flames shall burn every inch of my body, and you shall feel the touch of the sword, but for like a moment. Thank the one creator.
Okay, so first of all, it's a saw. They're not going to like whack one time
It's not that.
with a sword. And I'm also
It's
pretty
not-
sure that it's like you're going to be on fire for like 30 seconds and then you die of the smoke
No, it's going to be,
inhalation.
I think
feel
it's
like-
going to be longer
I don't
than
know.
that. I
that
think it's definitely going to
guys.
Hey, Diala.
be. Hey, Diala.
Up.
I mean, Bahai Diala.
That's right, Bahai. So, did the guards tell you?
Tell us what.
So, I heard you guys were doing like the more painful death thing. So, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get in on this. So, I requested to be boiled alive and then burned over charcoal. So, yeah, look at us, right? Hmm?
Yeah?
What? We're all like dying for Sikhism, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it's just that we were kind of doing the brother thing. Like,
right.
we were.
Yeah, we're brothers.
I mean, I'm your brother. That's what Baha'i means.
Well,
It's like means
no,
brother.
dude, we know that, like, but that just means that, like, for religion, right? Like, priests aren't actually your father. We just call them that.
Yeah, and plus, your request doesn't even make sense, man. Like, you want to be boiled and then charred? You'll already be dead when you're burned.
Yeah, right. No, you're just adding a bunch of postmortem mutilation to make your thing sound worse.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Fine. I guess I'll just like ask for a normal execution then.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. We don't want to be jerks, but, you know, it's just.
No, it's
we're
fine.
doing
And
this-
then when we all get to heaven, I'll tell God that you didn't really think of me as your brother and wouldn't let me be part of your cool death thing.
Oh, man.
You can do the death thing with us.
Yeah.
You mean it?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yes, brother.
Not really, though. Not.
But if you think about it, we're even more like brothers now.
Nope.
No, we're not.
We are, though.
And we're back. When we left off, some ignorant king did a deconstructed braise in 2 steps to kill somebody like an asshole. Still pretty mad about that. What's next, Eli?
Well, the 19th century didn't have warnings like don't try this at home because why the fuck not? Nobody lived past 30 anyway. But apparently, at least one person needed them. I'm talking about John Cummings, who died as follows, quote, "After seeing a circus knife swallower, Cummings began actually swallowing knives. On one occasion, he swallowed 4 knives and quickly passed 3 with no ill health. He later swallowed 14 knives.
Wait,
and
what
after
happened to the 4th? Oh my God.
He later swallowed 14 knives, and after some days with abdominal pain, he passed all of them. He finally swallowed 20 knives and a clasp knife case, but after a few days, he had only passed the case. He died after 4 years in pain.
Was anybody impressed by the case? Like, as a finale? 20 knives, and he's like, and the holder.
On autopsy, a knife blade and spring were found in his intestines, and between 30 and 40 fragments of metal, wood, and horn were found in his stomach.
A better trick is to swallow the knives and an empty case and then pass a case full of knives. That's how the trick's done.
Thank you.
That's
Yes.
badass.
That's-
Yes.
And so, look, as much as I love
Brothers.
the implication that there's a healthy way to shit knives, like, no, the fuck you didn't. Okay, none of this happened. This is not a thing.
Wikipedia's lie. I'm just repeating it. Wikipedia.
Yep,
I
that's
quoted it
fine.
and
That's
everything.
fine. I just have to put in the disclaimer here.
A different nerd lied about that story.
Cool yik yak story.
In what I can't believe hasn't already been a super boring episode of our show already.
This
On
would be a
October
great
7th
episode. This would be such an interesting episode. Fuck you.
On October 17th of 1814 at Mew & Co.'s Horseshoe Brewery, a 22-foot tall, that's 6.7 meters, Cecil, wooden vat of
What was the
fermenting
angle on it,
porter
though?
burst. Yeah, exactly. Causing chain reactions and destroyed several large beer barrels. The beer subsequently flooded the nearby slum and killed 8 people. Several people also subsequently died from alcohol poisoning as a result of vaporized liquor.
Yeah, the beer was in the slum, so they couldn't inspect that vat thoroughly because it had a giant paper bag around it the whole time. There's no way to look at it.
It's such a weird law. Like, what else are you allowed to just put in a bag and it becomes legal? now?
It's like peekaboo
Oh.
liquor. It's amazing.
That's
We
so
should do
weird.
that with all the illegal stuff. Just like, all right, we realize drug war is a terrible, expensive sham, but you got to put your needles in a paper bag. All right? Be pressing anything to his arm. Archduchess Mathilda of Austria had a smoking problem, and it was costing her potential suitors. Her father, Archduke Albrecht, Duke of Teschen, forbade her to smoke. And so, one day when he walked in when she wasn't expecting it, she attempted to hide her cigarette in between the layers of her dress.
Great.
The combination of lace and perfume pretty much instantly turned her into a giant fireball, but she did stop smoking after the firemen put
Yikes.
her out.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's only so much room on the fucking Surgeon General's warning, right? You can't fit all the dangers in there.
Clement Vallandigham's death feels right at home as an opening for our show. Quote, Vallandigham, an American politician and lawyer who was defending a man accused of murder, accidentally shot himself while demonstrating how the victim might have done so. His client was acquitted.
shit.
End quote.
Alec Baldwin was like, okay, that's pretty
Oh,
funny.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
pretty funny.
Alan Pinkerton, founder of the Pinkerton Detective Agency, was a mean son of a gun. And while I don't believe in magic or voodoo, he definitely died from a witch's curse. According to Wikipedia, Pinkerton tripped on the pavement and severely bit his tongue, which became infected with gangrene, which in turn killed him.
Was he 2 Komodo dragons in a trench coat? Like, what is happening? What is it going on in his
Almost.
mouth?
He's as closer to that than most, I think. But I wonder how far into dying of biting your tongue you have to be before you can get people to take you seriously about it, you know?
Bridget Driscoll has the inauspicious honor of being the first pedestrian to be killed in a collision with a motor car. While strolling the grounds of the Crystal Palace in London, she was hit by a car belonging to the Anglo-French Motor Carriage Company, which was giving demonstration rides. But here's the weird part. The car had been modified so that it could only go a maximum of 4 miles an hour. So either this lady played the world's first unsuccessful game of chicken, or there was a sharp turn nobody's telling us about in this story.
Okay, maybe she couldn't see the automobile. Like, you know how Native Americans couldn't see big boats from Europe until after they had seen
that
one?
must have been a
What the bleep
do we know?
Bleep
Yeah,
reference?
yeah,
Nicely
yeah.
done.
exactly.
Deep-
Yeah, of course.
Deep cut.
One more thing. The Wikipedia article about her death ends, in my opinion, rather grimly, saying, and again, this is how the Wikipedia article ends, quote, "The coroner, Percy Morrison, said he hoped such a thing would never happen again. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents estimated 550,000 people have been killed on UK roads by 2010.
Wow.
Sure,
End of
yeah.
Wikipedia article.
That's mostly Americans looking left when they
know.
cross.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. That number.
Or looking down at the writing on the ground that says "look right." You know, it's like, and look, I appreciate the effort, but I can't read this instruction and comply with it now, can I?
So this next story is probably racist propaganda against the dead brown guy for winning at a thing over a white guy, but don't think about that. Just take it
Oh,
at face
Jesus.
value and enjoy it. Anyway, quote, Yusuf Ismail, aka Yusuf Ismailo, a Turkish wrestler whose enormous strength and brutal tactics earned him the moniker the Terrible Turk, easily defeated American champion Evan Strangler Lewis, his strength being much more than a match for Lewis's eponymous stranglehold. Ismail won the $5,000 prize and converted it, along with his previous winnings, into gold coins totaling $8,500, which he kept in a money belt around his waist at all times. As he was returning home on the French line steamer, the SS La Boignonne, the ship collided
There it
with
is.
the British sailing ship Crumtyshire off
Oh,
Nova
there it is again.
Scotia. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And began to sink. Ismail
Nova Scotia.
Ismail reportedly fought his way through the panicked crowd, pushing women and children aside to reach a lifeboat. Whereupon he jumped into it, capsized it, drowned everyone in it, including himself, because he refused to take off his extremely heavy money belt.
But safe to say that any story that ends with "and then all the witnesses died" is a made up story. I think, right?
Empress Elizabeth of Austria was stabbed with a thin file.
Austria. It's Austria.
Austria.
like-
that would have been
feel like you're going a little too
commitment
far.
to the mispronunciation
Thank you.
bit. Sorry.
Thank you. Empress Elizabeth of Austria was stabbed with a thin file by Italian anarchist Luigi Lucchini while strolling through Geneva with her lady-in-waiting Irma Stratere in 1898. The file pierced her lung, but Elizabeth's corset was so tight that it held the wound closed. And it wasn't till hours later when she loosened it that she collapsed and died.
Cool. Yeah, good work by that anarchist. I mean, Italy and Austria went on to never have a fascist government ever again. So, nailed it.
And for the fans out there, yes, Sherlock Season 3 did steal that concept for their wedding episode. I was just as shocked as you, podcast listener. Just as shocked as you. Heath might not believe in past lives, but they certainly believe in him. According to this story,
Wait, I'm sorry, Eli. That actually is the source citation below. It is said, right? You're literally citing the story you're about to tell. I'm amazed. Just by all means, proceed.
thank you.
What's a forward ibid?
Yeah. The seamstresses in a factory complained to a stock boy about how frequently mice would run across their shared work table. In an attempt to impress the ladies, the next time it happened, the stock boy ran across the floor and grabbed the mouse. But the mouse was more slippery than he thought, escaping his hand, running up his sleeve, out the neck of his shirt, and into his open mouth. According to the Manchester News, which never lies, quote, that a mouse can exist for a considerable time without much air has long been a popular belief, and was unfortunately proved to be a fact in the present instance. For the mouse began to tear and bite inside the man's throat and chest, and the result was that the unfortunate fellow died after a little time in horrible agony. End quote.
Okay, so were the ladies impressed though? Did he nail it with the flirting?
Nobody likes sleeping through their alarm, but lamplighter for the city of Flatbush, Sam Wardell, had a brilliant idea to fix it. He attached his alarm clock to a 10-pound stone on a shelf near the foot of his bed. When his alarm clock went off each morning, the stone would come crashing down to the floor, leaving him wide awake.
Was his alarm clock attached to a book that kicked a metal marble down a spiral track? Like, what is happening?
And then got caught on the bathtub.
Yeah. That was until one night he had some friends over for a party, and that party had beers. And Sam had quite a few of those beers. So many, in fact, that he went to bed facing the wrong direction. When his alarm went off the next morning, his impromptu 10-pound alarm clock fell on his head, ensuring that he'd never wake up on time again.
Well, either that or his downstairs neighbor beat him to death with a 10-pound weight and came up with a very convincing story afterwards.
If anyone you know is thinking about writing a book about the history of prudery, this next one is perhaps the most Victorian death I've ever heard of. Quote, in 1892, in Bermuda, a party of sailors were returning to their ship by steamboat, having been on shore leave in the capital. Sailors being sailors, there was a row. The row turned into a fight, and one man went overboard. A Marine began to strip off to save him, but was ordered immediately to stop by an officer who had spotted a boat with ladies on it nearby.
Oh, Jesus. 1892 Heath is like, quick, somebody give me a rat to swallow.
According to the Western Daily Press, quote,
I love you.
the ladies in the boat manifested every description of sympathy with the unfortunate man, but seemed altogether opposed to the idea of an ordinary man springing into the sea unless duly and sufficiently attired in the garments which fashion, rather than common sense, has decided to be proper. End quote.
Okay, they had a pretty long, pretty involved conversation about this for this moment, right?
Yeah. The increasingly frantic efforts of the sailor to keep afloat suddenly concentrated minds. The officer asked for volunteers. 5 men at once all leaped to the rescue, but the sailor had drowned.
Womp, womp.
I feel like they smashed into each other when they died.
Yeah, that's
right.
the funniest way, to close it.
And finally, Governor Morris is a name you probably don't recognize, but you definitely know his writing, specifically the preamble to the Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident, yada, yada, yada. Though a politician, Governor Morris was not a governor. Governor was his name. But he did die from an infection after using a whalebone to clear a blockage in his urinary tract. And that...
What?
Yep. And that is what you will think about every time you see or read the Constitution for the rest of your life. You're welcome, podcast listener.
Yeah, it turns out that dude is a shit authority on what is and isn't self-evident, apparently. Yeah. Woof.
He wrote down the word self-evident. He was like, hey, will you pass me that whalebone? And took his dick out.
My
That's what happened
clogged.
next.
Wow.
And George Washington was like, sure, man, my teeth are made out of wood.
All right. If you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
People be dying.
Eli. Okay. Are you ready for the quiz?
As surely as I'm ready for the Grim Reaper, Heath.
All right. So it turns out that Governor was a weird-ass name even by the standards of his day. Why the fuck was he named that? A, because his mom always thought that her brother Dick's fate of being a giant asshole was at least partially predestined. B, because don't grow up to be a fucking loser, Morris, was too long to fit on the birth certificate. Or C, so that some future Wikipedia editor could write this truly exquisite fucking sentence, quote, in both Dutch and French, governor means governor, end quote.
I gotta go with C. Is it C?
It is absolutely C. Yeah, you'll have to check that out on the Wikipedia article.
All right. Eli, I'm just going to name some things about that London beer flood of 1814. They're all true. You just say what you like best, I guess. Which one of these do you like best? A, the day of that spill, the 22-foot vat had only 4 inches of space left on top. B, that afternoon, a clerk noticed that one of the metal bands around the vat had slipped off, but his supervisor said it was no big deal and told him to write a note to the owner about it. C, the clerk wrote the note and was holding the note in his hand, ready to give it to the big boss when the vat exploded like 20 feet away from him and he got smashed with so much beer. Speaking of which, D, about 300,000 imperial gallons of liquid went rushing everywhere, immediately smashing through a brick wall that was 2.5 bricks in thickness.
Jesus.
E, a wave of beer swept onto the street that was 15 feet high, completely destroying 2 buildings.
Wow. Feet. Jesus.
Or F, in one of those 2 buildings, they were literally having a wake for a 2-year-old boy.
Jesus
God,
Christ.
too.
Gotta be F. That's the funniest one for sure. Yeah.
Yikes. It's actually all of the above.
Yeah, you have
Or
to like all of them the best.
No,
it's he's.
I do
no.
like
No,
all of-
I have to like say that he's right for liking that. Yeah, sorry. I forgot what my question
And also an extra compliment too. That's the new rule.
When Eli dies, eventually on the toilet shitting himself to death, what will be the name of his biopic? A, Groundhog Bidet. B, Diarrhea Hard. C, The Trotskys. Or D, There Will Be Blood.
Oh, jeez.
There will be blood for sure. For sure.
I'm
Daniel
sorry. I'm sorry. It
Day-Lewis?
was Groundhog Bidet. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Ah,
it happens every day.
Cecil, you stumped him. You are the winner.
All right, Noah, you get to go next.
All right. Well, it's not going to be about the fucking beer flood now. 'Cause
Jesus.
That's too boring. I'll do something different.
Oh no.
That's such an awesome
I know,
story.
it's like the
That's
best.
boring.
Well, for Cecil, Noah, Eli, and Tom, I'm Heath. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and Noah will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear Tom and Cecil on Cognitive Dissonance, and you can hear Eli, Noah, and myself on God-Awful Movies, Scathing Atheist, Skeptocrat, and D&D Minus. And if you'd like to join the ranks of our extremely generous patrons, whom we adore so very much, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod and help us each avoid being in the next episode about unusual deaths. You
Is
would
that
be
the alternative?
saving
Wow.
us.
Get on that
Or
shit.
usual deaths. I don't know. It could be a usual, like just being poor. That's like a normal death. And if you'd like
Not
to
if you
get in touch
choke on a
with us,
fucking roll, apparently.
listen to past episodes. Connect with us on social media or take a look at the show notes. Check out citationpod.com. Matidas and Satidas, come before me.
Wow, the one creator.
At last, we stand at his heavenly feet.
Indeed you do. Indeed you do. And as a reward for your devoutness, you shall reside with me here in paradise forever.
Hooray!
Awesome.
But there's more. I've also united you with your spiritual brother, Baha'i Diyallah.
Hey guys.
The 3 of you shall never be apart for all of eternity. You're welcome.
And you know what that means? Rock, paper, scissors, tournaments forever.
Is it too late to sign up for hell?
I also would like to go to hell.
I get that a lot.
It's true, he does.
So this next story is probably racist propaganda against the dead brown guy for winning at a thing over a white guy, but don't think about that. Just take it at face value and enjoy it. Like Tom's marriage, which is not on the rocks, by the way. He is not in an extensive couples retreat / counseling
What the
session
fuck are
right
you
now.
doing?
2,
He's just gone.
1, go.
Anyway, quote, I called Tom and asked him if I could write that, and he was like, that's funny. Anyway,
No, you didn't.
Quote,
No, you fucking didn't.
I did.
Fucking no, you
Of course
didn't.
I did. About his
There's
marriage?
no
You think I wouldn't
fucking
call
way
Tom?
Tom would let you write that joke. I'm sorry.
I swear.
Shut the
I
fuck
swear.
up. That's not happening.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/get started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get started.